are we in high school? 5 shades too dark for you, and then, you know, not blend it down your neck. Just want it to look smooth and last all day and be just like the best looking face you've ever seen. Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing the best and worst foundation. Remember, this is my personal opinion and everybody's skin type is different. If you guys have never watched my videos before, if you've never heard me say it, I am a combination skin type. I used to classify myself as oily, but honestly, I found over the last 6 months to a year, my skin has completely changed. Really ever since I got pregnant, so I'd say about 2 to 3 years ago it started to change, but I've noticed it most in the last year. I'm not as oily and I have a lot more dehydration in my skin. Now that happens in age, but it's definitely like I used to be all about everything matte and I still would get shiny and have to touch up my makeup. I obviously still have a bit of a shine being combination, so in my T-zone, this area right here along my forehead, especially right here in between my brows, right in here next to my nose, underneath my nose, and on my chin gets oily, typically breaks down easier. But I also have a lot of dehydration in my cheeks. Also up in and around my nose, on my forehead, I get a lot of dehydration, and so my skin needs a lot more nourishment. I definitely have updated my skincare since then, but my interest in foundation and my preference in foundation definitely has changed as well. So I love natural finish foundations. That's my favorite. It's not glowy. It's not going to really bring any excess shine, but it's also not super matte, and it's not going to, you know, dry out my skin and emphasize any dry patches or dehydration that I have. So natural finish just is what works best on my skin. It usually kind of is a good balance. It's not, you know, gonna look oily, but it's also not gonna look dry. So a lot of them on here are natural finish foundations, but that being said, I tried to bring in my favorite matte foundations and even a couple dewy foundations for those of you that are watching that are either oily or dry skin typed. When I'm looking and working with a foundation, I want it to be smooth on the skin, not super thick and cakey looking. I want it to look kind of like skin most times. There's definitely those days where I want, you know, a good coverage and I want, you know, to look like a totally new person. I have, you know, emphasized pores. I have all of that. So I'm more about smoothing out, reducing redness. I have a lot of redness in my skin, but also not dry. I've had foundations where, especially in and around here, they look really dry, and I like to set my foundation, so I don't want a foundation that if I set it, it's gonna look dry. I want a foundation that if I set it, it's gonna look nice and smooth and lock in place. Let's start with stick foundations. So I was never really into stick foundations, and when I would think about stick foundations, I would think like, are we in high school? You know, like remember in high school you would get that like stick foundation that's 5 shades too dark for you, and then, you know, not blend it down your neck. That's what stick foundations reminded me of. And then I tried the Hourglass stick foundation, and it really is such an incredible product. I think, you know, it's obviously a cream product. Cream is it's creamy. This one is just so like thin, and you blend it out and it just disappears into your skin, and you just look so smooth and it lasts well. And I just love the way that this looks on the skin. It's a definite recommend for a stick foundation. It's, as I said, smoothing on the skin. I feel like it really just smooths out this area, which is my ultimate goal. I get a lot of texture in here, and I just feel like this one is such a good quick, you know, you just go like swipe it on the face where you need it, blend it out with a damp beauty blender or a brush, and you're good to go. And yeah, it's really good. I feel like it has really good coverage. about a medium to full coverage, and I've always been happy with my makeup on these days that I wear it. Another one that I really like is actually the Lancome Ultra Wear Makeup Stick. So it's an all-day color, wear, and comfort portable perfection with a soft matte finish, and that is so true. It's definitely has that super subtle matte finish, so it's going to help with oils, like it's going to help your face look a little bit more matte without making it look dry. It's one of the smoothest foundations I've worn. It's so nice, especially as I said right in here. This is the test right in here for a foundation, here under my nose and on my chin. Right in here, it will sometimes separate, it will sometimes have little holes in it, it will sometimes start to get cakey, it will sometimes like in here as well. This one looked like a baby's bottom. It was so smooth, it lasted all day. I was really happy with this every time I've worn it as well. So these are my absolute favorite stick foundations, and keep in mind when I'm telling you my favorites, this is from what I've tried. There maybe is a better stick foundation that I have yet to try, and I will update you if I find it, but this is just letting you guys know what I love from what I've tried. And I mean, man, I've been working on this video for over 6 months. This has been something that I really wanted to do since the beginning of my channel. I want to do a series where I give you my absolute favorites and least favorites from every category of my makeup routine. You know, I want to give you my favorite primers all the way to my favorite setting sprays. So I've been working, this was the first one I wanted to do just because I was going to start with primer, but I've been working on this foundation one for so long, and I finally decided, you know, I've tried, I bet you 50 plus foundations, and these are just so good, and I've been so excited to share them with you. Okay, so let's move on to matte finish. Honestly, matte finish foundations are typically the ones that go funny on me. They look dry, they look cakey, and they look thick and fake and separate and break apart, and it's a bad day. So the first one that I absolutely love, this one is my Magic foundation. I am like scraping the bottom of the barrel on this one because it's so good. I'm curious to try their new foundation, but this one is so amazing. It is matte finish, but you wouldn't know it in a way. Like, it's, yes, if you're oily, it's going to help keep things matte and not be too shiny, especially if you set it. But it's not going to look like dull, lifeless, dry. It's so beautiful on the skin. It's smooth. It always, you know, it has good coverage. I'd say first layer is about a medium coverage, and then you can kind of build it to a closer to full coverage. This is such a nice foundation, and it is honestly one of my favorites. The Lorac Pro Soft Focus, this has such incredible coverage. Like, you put on one layer, and especially if you're going to go and apply concealer, you don't need more than one layer. It's like a one and done. I love it so much. It does have that soft focus kind of blurring effect. It lasts really well, and I just really like it. It's one I definitely would recommend, and it doesn't dry out my skin, which is nice. So now we're gonna move on to some drugstore. Let's talk some cheaper options. So I have four drugstore foundations made it, and when I'm looking at all these foundations in front of me, these are some of my favorite in overall, and that's such an incredible thing, and that makes me so happy to be able to come on here and share with you guys some really good options that you guys are going to be able to afford if you don't have the buckets of money that these higher end options cost. So the first one is just an obvious, I think. The L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. It's the 24-hour foundation, and it really does last so good. It's medium coverage. I do find if I layer it, I can get it a little bit more than medium coverage. I would not say it's full coverage, but the way that it looks on the skin, it evens out everything. It looks so smooth. It looks so honestly perfect. I love it so much, and I don't know why like this is so cheap, because I feel like people would pay so much more money for this. This is so good if you're looking for a drugstore option that's going to last all day, have a nice beautiful natural finish. So it's not going to be glowy, it's not going to be ultra matte and dry. It's just going to be it's going to look so natural. Everything about this is natural. It's long wearing. It's incredible. go get it because it's so nice. There's this baby right here, my Catrice HD Liquid Coverage. This is one of my absolute favorite foundation. Was I a Snapchat filter that day or what? Like, I literally took a picture and I was like, wait, did I have like a filter on there? And I like took another picture and I'm like, oh my goodness, my skin looks so smooth. I've never looked so poreless. I've never looked so smooth. I've never looked so covered and even and literally perfect. This lasts so good throughout the day. It is something I would recommend all of you to look into getting because it's so cheap, it's so good, and it's a staple in my makeup collection now. The Dream Urban Cover by Maybelline. This is so good. It has a bit of sunscreen, so it's a nice summer option. I'm actually wearing it today. It lasts really well. I wouldn't say it doesn't last as well as these two. So if you're looking for something really long wearing, I'd go for these two right here. But it looks really smooth on the skin. It looks very natural. It doesn't get cakey, and it is a natural finish, but I do find it leans more on the matte side without looking dry. So this is a good kind of, it's not matte, but it is pretty, you know, it's like that kind of soft focus matte. I really like it. So this is a good one as well. I'm always impressed with my makeup that day, and it lasts decently well. It's just not like a 24-hour type thing. It's definitely not as good long wearing as these two. And then my last drugstore option is my Revlon Candid Natural Finish Anti-Pollution Foundation. You're looking for something really natural. And I know I've been saying that about a lot of these, but this is really probably my most natural foundation on my favorites list. It looks so nice. It's medium coverage. That's just what it is. You're not getting any full coverage from this, but it's such a good one to just put on if I'm just going to run an errand, or if I just feel like wearing makeup that day, but I don't want to look full glam. This is a really good natural option, and it looks so incredible on the skin. It looks so smooth. It looks so natural. It looks like skin. Also for people that don't really have, you know, any blemishes, any dark spots, any scarring. If you don't have any of that, you don't need full coverage. I mean, if you like that, go ahead and cover it up and you do you. But if you don't need to conceal anything, just get a natural, you know, medium coverage foundation and it's gonna look so good. The Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Plus Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream and Anti-Aging Hydrating Serum. Sorry, what? That's the longest name I've heard in my life. I've never actually said that all in one. Yeah, so it's Color Correcting Full Coverage Cream, Anti-Aging Hydrating Serum, 50 plus SPF. Such a good option for summer when you need sunscreen, but really the sun is out all year round. In the winter, there's still UV rays. So I recommend wearing sunscreen all year round, but especially in those hot summer months. Something like this is good. It is more coverage than this Candid one, but it just has a similar finish. It looks so smooth and natural on the skin. You wouldn't even honestly know it's there. It is really good for your skin. It has that anti-aging hydrating serum. It feels good on the skin. These two are so comfortable. Like, you don't know they're there. They look so nice. They look like your skin but better type feel, and they're so good. This one has the SPF. This one has the anti-pollution. They're both kind of good for your skin. Love them. So this is also one of my favorites. So I have a couple more favorites and then we'll get to the least favorites. I love my Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing. It really does remind me of my L'Oreal Fresh Wear. It has about the same coverage, about the same finish. It looks so natural. It's that natural, beautiful finish. Has about medium to full coverage. And this one is self-refreshing. It really doesn't crease. I found that my makeup lasted really well. It looked really good. You know, I didn't have to touch it up. It's oil-free, so it's still good for those, you know, combo to oily skin. It's such cool technology, and I think it's such a unique product, and I really do think it's worth the money. Now, if you can't afford it, go with the L'Oreal Fresh Wear. Yeah, love that one. And then 2 OGs that I just had to include in today's video. Keep in mind, this is a lot for like a bests and worsts video, but I've never done one. So this is going back to some that aren't brand new. You know, I wanted to include all of my favorites, and then I can kind of update it throughout the future years. So if this is kind of a longer one, that's why. It's because it's, you know, my very first best and worst foundations video. So I had to include all the good ones. I just had to include these 2. The Estee Lauder Double Wear is a tried and true natural finish, medium to full coverage. You know, looks really natural on the skin, doesn't look cakey, lasts really well. Love this one. I mean, you've probably heard of it before. Another one very similar is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD. This one is always a go-to for me. It's so natural on the skin, yet it covers, you know, pretty well. I wouldn't say it's full coverage. It's kind of that similar to the Estee Lauder, that medium to full, but not quite full. You can layer it, but it's more of like a medium coverage, but I love this so much. It looks so smooth on the skin. That's really honestly what I love about all of these foundations, is it looks so smooth on the skin. That's really what I'm looking for, smooth. Just want it to look smooth and last all day and be just like the best looking face you've ever seen. But really, honestly, these 2 do look flawless. They look so good, and they're really good foundation options as well. This is an option, my favorite foundation when I'm looking for light coverage. This is actually buildable. You can get it to a medium coverage, but I prefer this one for those days I just want something more light. I want to just pop on some foundation, maybe a little bit of bronzer, mascara, and a gloss, and we're good to go. This is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. It is good on the body. Like, it's a good option to bring down into the décolleté, to conceal any blemishes on the body. Long wearing light coverage foundation. It's an easy kind of quick, just slap it on the face quick, blend it out. It is expensive. I honestly haven't really tried a whole ton of drugstore like light coverage foundations, so I'll update you guys on a cheaper option for light coverage, but as of right now, this is my favorite light coverage option. It's so good. Now, I'm, as I said, combo, so I don't really go towards dewy. I'm not like a glowy dewy foundation kind of girl, but because I've been straying from the mattes, because that's where I typically find my caking, my dryness, my texture. I have tried a few glowy foundations. Glowy one that I actually do really like is the Pro Glow by L'Oreal. This one surprised me just because I kind of just wanted to try a couple more glowy foundations before I did this video, and I didn't mind it. Like, it was smooth, it looked really beautiful, it had a healthy glow. I did set it, so it didn't really look super overly glowy, but I set all my foundations, and I just felt like it lasted really well through the day. I was happy with it. It's kind of like the glowy version of this. This is the natural. You can also get the Pro Matte. I haven't tried the Pro Matte, but I actually was pleasantly surprised with this one. Okay, we made it through the favorites, and those are the foundations that I think are my top recommendations. I hope you guys found one that will work for you and that sounds like what you're looking for. I mean, I kind of described them all as the same just because I'm looking for kind of the same thing in every foundation. I want smooth, flawless skin that doesn't look dull or dry or cakey or oily. I want the perfect foundation. I feel like all of these kind of have a different purpose in my, day, even though they're all kind of similar. I do like to mix it up a lot, so I know I have a lot of foundation, but I also have tried a lot just for this video, so that's why there's so many. And this was my best job at narrowing it down, but as I said, I needed to kind of just have a baseline of favorites before I start adding to my favorites in the future. Let's talk least favorites. Okay, some of these, and honestly, I think most of these are going to be unpopular opinions, so I apologize, but I'm just telling you guys the truth. All of these don't work on me. A lot of these work on other people. So if you're like me that tends to find matte foundations look dry, or really thick, heavy foundations look cakey on you. If you have similar skin type, if you have similar interests in foundation as me, then you will probably agree with these. If you have these and you like these, don't stop using them. Whatever works for you is amazing. So this is just my opinion. Let's just start out with like the most loved foundation of the year, or of last year. Was it last year? I don't know. But anyways, I feel like everybody loves this but me. And I'm really upset about it. Yes, I'm still upset about it. The Smashbox Studio Skin Full Coverage 24-Hour Foundation. It still doesn't work for me. I'm honestly starting to think that I have a defective product, because I look at people apply this and it looks so smooth. They say that it lasts all day, though it's the opposite of what this does for me. I apply this and honestly, sometimes almost immediately it starts to look patchy, and I get this, when you apply foundation and you have this weird thing go on where it's almost like you get holes in your foundation, like big holes where it's kind of separating. This is what this does to me. Now, I will admit the first few times I applied it, I definitely applied too much. I think everybody did. We didn't expect it to be this full coverage. Like, let me just show you this. It's incredible coverage. Like, right? I don't know what happened with this, but like, honestly, I've tried it with a million different primers, a million different concealers. I've tried applying the smallest amount, but honestly, like when I apply a really, really, really thin layer, it's not enough coverage for me. Like, I want a tiny bit more, and then I add a tiny bit more and it's like game over. It looks awful. So I've never been able to get this to work. I'm going to try it in lighter coverage foundations and see if I like it that way. But as of right now, this just isn't worth the money to me. Comment below if you agree with me. Like, I'd like somebody to say, you know what? Yeah, I agree. So I don't think I'm going crazy or doing something wrong, because everybody loves this and I don't. The Fenty Beauty, this isn't like a least favorite for me, but this is just for me personally, this looked really dry on my skin. This is like an ultra matte foundation. So this one, if you have skin like me where you do find matte foundations look dry, and emphasize texture and emphasize, imperfections on the face, if you have dry skin, if you have even normal, like, I would only recommend this for oily skin, only because I know other people like this. But from my personal experience, it did not look good. It did not last on me. I find if a foundation doesn't sit well on the skin, it's not going to last on the skin. And that's kind of what this one did for me. But if you guys like it, that's great. Definitely comment below if you agree or even disagree with my opinions. Like, do you like the Fenty Beauty one, or do you agree that it's too dry? I don't know. Another one that I don't like is the Zoeva Authentic Skin Natural Luminous Foundation. I felt like this just didn't last. It looked okay going on, but it just broke apart really easily and did not last well on me. So unfortunately, this was a total fail. I don't want to try it again. Hey guys, I just finished editing this video and realized I forgot to put in one of the worst foundations that I've ever tried, and I have to include it, so I'm just recording here on my phone. I'm sorry, it's not as good quality. Is the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation. I did do a review if you want to see that. I'll link it below. It just doesn't sit well on the skin. It separates pretty quickly, and by the end of the day, I was a hot mess. It was broken down, rubbed off, and I hadn't even done anything that crazy. So definitely feel like this foundation is not a recommend. I recommend you not to get it. And this is no shade towards e.l.f. because I love them as a brand. They're one of my favorite drugstore cosmetic brands. And like, I love their eyeshadows, their concealers, blushes, bronzers. Like, I love a lot of their products, but this just, it's no good. But yeah, definitely wouldn't recommend that one as well. Those are my least favorites. Now, there's obviously so many more foundations Definitely leave me your recommendations. Leave me any foundations you'd like me to try and maybe give you a review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and like the video if you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys next time.